Electric vehicles are the future in automobile industry. Telangana, the youngest state, tops a list of 11 states in India opting for electric vehicles. According to Federation of Automobile Dealers Association, Telangana has 7,000 vehicles registered in the EV section. This number is low when we compare it to Uttar Pradesh, which has 2,55,770 vehicles. Delhi has 1,25,347. Karnataka 72,544. Bihar 58,104 and Maharashtra 52,506. The acceptance of electric vehicles has been gained over the last few years, and the government now needs to boost it further. While Telangana was the first state which has drafted the policy for electric vehicles, there have been gaps in implementation. One of the reasons is last 2 years of COVID-19. Today, we are going to talk to Mr. Jayesh Ranjan, Principal Secretary, Government of Telangana, on electric vehicles. We have with us today Principal Secretary Jayesh Ranjan, and we are going to talk to him about the electric vehicles and how Telangana government has to scale up or look forward to in terms of converting more electric vehicles on the road. Welcome, sir, to IndiGlobal Media Network. Sir, what is it that Telangana government must do to increase the number of electric vehicles on the road?
Sure. So, we have made a good beginning. I would like to point out that we were one of the first states which came up with a dedicated policy on electric vehicles, and our policy has been considered very comprehensive. The feedback that we have got from the industry players praises our policy because it is very comprehensive. It speaks about both the supply side of EVs and the demand side. How do you increase adoption? And we also speak about energy storage, because batteries are a very important component of EVs. We also speak about innovation and R&D, because we are still on a learning curve. Lots of technology breakthroughs are required, and how much of it can happen in Hyderabad, in Telangana. And if you look at the demand side, basically what you are speaking about, how do you put more vehicles on the road? Now, world over, the experience shows that the public transportation systems actually lead the way, because individual car owners or potential car owners, they still have some element of doubts or inhibitions in their minds, whether charging will be available, whether the car or the two-wheeler will meet their requirements, and so on and so forth. But when they see enough number of public transport vehicles on the road, and in Hyderabad, if you look at the nature of the public transport, while there are buses, but a large majority of the public transport requirements are met by auto rickshaws. So again, in our policy, we have created a separate bucket for auto rickshaws, people who want to buy new auto rickshaws and come on the roads. Similarly, there is a retrofitting possibility. If you are using a diesel auto rickshaw, how can that be retrofitted into electric vehicles? So there are subsidies, there are programs. So we have made a good beginning. Unfortunately, what has happened is that our policy came just when the lockdowns were starting. So not too many vehicles are visible on the road right now, and eventually that is the biggest publicity, that is the biggest motivator. Now that the COVID impact is kind of reducing, people are seeing more and more EVs on the road. I'm sure there will be an exponential rise on the numbers that you will be witnessing in months to come.
Sir, in Uttar Pradesh, they had a special policy where they put in three-wheelers, and they used a lot of three-wheelers which they brought on the road. So their registered vehicles are more than 2 lakh. Similarly, Delhi has done two-wheelers and three-wheelers on the road. So is there something like that we are looking at, where the small businesses also, because of the fuel prices rising, can manage with EVs? So is there a subsidy for these sectors?
So subsidy is there. So if you look at our policy, as I was mentioning, there is a dedicated section on how do you create demand for EVs. There is a section which suggests how to manufacture more EV vehicles and components in Telangana, including storage. But there is an equally strong component or section which is speaking about creating the demand. So, as I mentioned a while ago, demand has to be led by public transportation vehicles, which is what we are aiming at. How to convert more of our RTC buses into electric buses. How do you ensure that more and more of electric three-wheelers, auto rickshaws as they are called in Hyderabad, they come on the roads, and there is an incentive scheme. So, we have provided for a reasonably handsome amount which will be given. I mean, the amount is not being given, but there is a waiver of road tax, there is a waiver of registration tax, etc., which costs a reasonably large amount of money. So, you do not need to pay any of those for certain number of two-wheelers, three-wheelers, four-wheelers. So, for three-wheelers, we have kept that number quite large. So, as I said, because we could not benefit from the demonstration effect due to lockdowns and all that, but hopefully things are getting normal now, and we should be able to show more and more EVs on the road.
Okay, so maybe in the next 1 year, how many more vehicles would be expected? Is there a kind of target that has been kept?
There is no target, because typically we follow what is called a demand driven approach. Okay. But what flexibility that we have is, for example, we have announced that let us say 20,000 auto rickshaws will be given this incentive. If the demand is more, we are prepared to extend that. So, that kind of flexibility is there with us.
Okay, and what about four-wheelers, sir? Because there are a lot of four-wheeler users.
The world over, the trend is that the lead has to be taken by public transportation vehicles. Only when a common four-wheeler user or a owner is convinced that public transportation vehicles can manage the situation without any hiccups, without any problems, they have adequate charging infrastructure, charging happens seamlessly, then only their inclination to start owning their own four-wheelers will materialize.
So, we do expect that Telangana will now see a lot more public transport vehicles, two-wheelers and three-wheelers on the road. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Nice
Thank you for
talking to you.
joining us. T-Hub in Telangana has created the ecosystem for startups. It has the right combination of connections which can be provided to the startups to connect them to various clients, to collaborate, and also enable a learning platform. As EV is an evolving sector, there is constant upskilling required to understand the industry. Today, we will talk to Mahankali Srinivas Rao, Chief Executive Officer of T-Hub. IndiGlobal Media Network is today at the T-Hub, and we have with us the CEO, Mr. Mahankali Srinivas Rao, called MSR. Today, we are going to talk to him about electric vehicles and how electric vehicles need to increase in India and what is it in the state of Telangana. So, sir, how is Telangana doing in terms of electric vehicles?
So, first of all, Kaniza, thank you for having me here. Today we are actually having an EV day at T-Hub. We've had at T-Hub, we worked with over 17 entrepreneurs in the space of EV, who are all done remarkable work across a range of areas. So, we have companies which are building two-wheelers, we have companies which are building three-wheelers, we have companies which are building charging systems, we have companies which are building powertrains. So, pretty much everything that you require for a ecosystem of EV from a manufacturing standpoint, we have worked with startups in that space, right. So, it's fair to say that Telangana has a unique opportunity to be at the forefront of all innovation happening in EV and to quickly get to numero uno status in India, right. We have all the ingredients. We have passionate young entrepreneurs. We have an ecosystem for manufacturing. We have very supportive government policy, right, and funding is also starting to become available to players in this space.
See, Telangana is there in the 11 states in India and it is in the top 5. Now, how does it climb up? Like Uttar Pradesh, you have 2.5 electric vehicles which are three-wheelers. You have Karnataka, which also has a huge number, and Delhi also has more than 2 lakh vehicles. So, how can Telangana reach that mark and what more needs to be done?
Sure, I think the ecosystem is falling in place. So, in terms of demand, both in terms of supply and demand, so there are more units setting up manufacturing capacities here. There are already some who already confirmed their intent to set up, plus there are conversations which the government is having with others to set up. In terms of financing options, So, for example, we do know that the EV part, right? When you think about an EV, so just to give you a sense of comparison, if you take a 5-year period, right, the total cost of ownership of a EV part is really more on the energy side, right, as compared to when you take a internal combustion vehicle, where you pay upfront for the basically your cost, initial cost may be low, but because of increasing petrol and diesel costs over a period of time, your cost is high, right. So, here what you will find is in the IC, the EV part, there may be initially there is a slightly higher cost, but because energy is relatively going to be cheaper, it is going to come down. So, now the economics are starting to get more and more tilted towards EV, and with that happening and with more provision of more manufacturing happening, support of governments with subsidies and all of that stuff, I think it is just a matter of time before.
Okay. So now we will be able to see more of 2-wheelers, 3-wheelers, or will it be 4-wheelers on the road?
No. So, I think to start with, it is going to be a lot more of the 2-wheelers. So, even if you look at India numbers, for example, this year the projection is that they will have about 750,000 2-wheeler electric vehicles will get sold this year, and the projection is in the next 8 years that number is going to get to about almost 18 million. So, 24 times in an 8-year window. If you take the 3-wheeler and 4-wheeler market, expected that this year it will be about 25,000 each, 25,000 3-wheeler EVs and 25,000 4-wheeler EVs. That number is projected in the next 8 years to get to about 500,000 each, right. So, obviously, India is one of the 2 largest 2-wheeler markets, even for conventional 2-wheelers, and the numbers which are getting sold now, there are approximately about 2 crore conventional motorbikes will get sold, and we will probably find the similar number.
The new electric vehicle industry emerging in India requires constant upgradation. Students, professionals, entrepreneurs need to understand the new technology. And for this, we have the IndiGlobal Media Network and EV Masterclass. EV Masterclass empowers learners to understand the EV industry. Their mentors are industry experts who guide them to understand the different nuances and the technology of electric vehicles. We have students, professionals who have taken this course with EV Masterclass, and they are going to talk about their experience in taking that course.
EV Masterclass has been fabulous in all these years for training up the professionalism in the EV ecosystem and also the EV solutions in the state of Telangana. And I congratulate all the EV Masterclass team for their tremendous work towards the achieving of the goal towards the green energy, green ecosystem, green mobility in the state of Telangana.
So this course is very comprehensive and very exhaustive in terms of covering right from the basics of what EV is all about, the potential opportunity one can explore in this industry in the years to come, and it talks about different frameworks, different policies across different states, and also it talks about every nth level detail of every component of electrical vehicle, right? So all in all, I thoroughly enjoyed the course for last 30 plus weeks or so. And I would highly recommend this course for anyone, right from students to entrepreneurs, budding entrepreneurs, or anyone who is experienced in any field, just not the electrical field. So I would highly recommend to take this course, and you are going to highly benefit from it.
This EV Masterclass is a game-changing platform where we have learned more about electrical vehicle in this segment, history, working principles, and a lot in details about electrical vehicle. The main thing of this course was mentoring, mentor talk, which was the game-changing platform to boost the inner ideas, new startups and unicorns. And at last, this will be a game-changing in India. Is becoming an upcoming platform for EV. And this is going to be a game changer.
It is a good knowledgeable session the Rajiv ISR is sharing with us, and it is definitely recommended to everyone because the biggest threat for EV ecosystem is the lack of the availability of the skilled persons. So through this EV masterclass, they are fulfilling that gap. So definitely everyone to join to grow as an entrepreneur as well as the growth for the nation, for the improving of the EV ecosystem as well.
I am a part of EV Masterclass Cohort 1. As we all know, the days of ICE vehicle have come to an end. We are in a part of electric mobility as a revolution. I recommend EV Masterclass to all the viewers watching here. We've had mentoring sessions, we've had talk shows, we've had opportunities, internship opportunities and placement opportunities. So as a student, we've covered all the topics from basics to advanced, and from every topic is covered from engineering perspective and entrepreneurial perspective. Hence, I recommend all the viewers to join EV Masterclass.
Get young people who are thinking about getting into this new sunrise space of EV sector, getting them in and talking to them both about the technology part, also the business part, orienting them on the business, and then supporting them with access to mentors, access to capital, connecting them to various networks which can help them from supporting, helping them get proof of concepts with customers and all of that. So we think we are in the early stages of building a thriving ecosystem, and it's a matter of time.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Thank you.